Male. Lesson time. Today we're going to study feminine school, the Zeta male. So I wasn't even aware that this site existed. It's called hypergamislife.com or he hypergamous life. I don't know why the fuck they have a HE at the front of that. That's pretty weird. But anyway, it's basically like a blog, or maybe it's a book. Yeah, buy the book. So it's a book slash kind of blog website, and don't ask me how I found this. Actually, I'll just tell you. So it's not a very long story, but I was posting some shit, so some red pill content online, and somebody called me a Zeta male, and I was like, Zeta male? I've heard of the beta male, I've heard of the alpha male, I've heard of the gamma male, I've heard of the sigma male, but I haven't really heard much about the Zeta male. And I was like, Zeta male? Oh yeah, and then there's the Omega male, right? A lot of these are kind of similar. A lot of these, like Omega male, Gamma male, Zeta male, they're all kind of similar, right? There's very subtle nuances in each one, but they're all kind of similar. Like the Omega, the Zeta, and the Gamma are all kind of losers, right? At least, according to this, I don't know, bro science, pseudo science, I don't know what you want to call it, right? Now, I've been off and on using the terms beta, alpha, blah, 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 right? I've been off and on about that. I'll do it sometimes, usually when I'm, roasting a simp, right? If I'm online roasting a simp, I'll call him a beta male because, if you're standing up for shitty women, if you are defending the honor of shitty women, that's beta male behavior. That's weak shit, right? So I'll call those guys betas, but I tend to shy away from alpha, beta, like at times, and then other times, like it can be useful. Like an alpha is a guy who probably is going to be the leader of a family unit, probably is going to be the leader, of his kids, and he's going to provide for other people. And an alpha takes care of other people. That's the best definition of an alpha. The whole bro science alpha shit, where the guy, he's the coolest guy, or he's the guy who gets all the girls. It doesn't necessarily make the guy alpha. Like he could be a sigma in behavior. Like if you read up on it, there's a lot of differences. And the best I could describe as alpha, is the guy who's providing for everybody, and the beta is simply the guy who is second in command. So bro science and how it's used is very different from the actual terms. Like beta in the actual scientific terms, as far as like a wolf pack is concerned, like beta is not bad. What you don't want to be is the omega, because the omega is the weakest. He's the one who gets pushed around by everybody. And I guess the zeta as well. Like I said, we're going to study zeta male today, but I haven't heard much about the zeta male. But the reason why I say all that is because, as a background, is because people just throw these terms around left and right. They use these terms whenever they feel like it. And I admit that I've been guilty of that too, particularly when it comes to like beta males, calling simps beta males, right? It's just how you use it. I feel like I use it in the right context there, because it's like, it's basically just calling somebody a bitch, calling somebody a loser. And the reason is because you're sticking up for shitty, female behavior, right? If I share a red pill meme or share some red pill content and you come out of the woodwork and fight me, that's white knight behavior. That's bitch beta behavior, right? So anyway, that happened, and he called me a Zeta male, and I was like, Zeta male? I've been called a loser, I've been called an incel, right? I've been called everything but a Zeta male. I've even been called an Omega male before. But a Zeta male, and I was like, what's that? So I just Googled it, and I came across this website, he hypergamous life. Now, again, I guess this is a book. Let's go to the about page to see what this website is about Chloe. So apparently, okay, it's a female. I assume she's a feminist. I know she's a feminist because I read a little bit on the other page. Okay, hello, hi, my name is Chloe, and I teach women how to be feminine, the hypergamous life. So you're teaching women how to be hypergamous. Well, what is hypergamy? Hypergamy is, marrying the best guy you can, basically, looking for the best partner, right? Not messing around with losers. So essentially, you're basically teaching women how to be gold diggers, right? Chloe is the digital citizen, femininity influencer, lifestyle consultant, entrepreneur, best-selling author, and passionate YouTube voice and founder behind the lifestyle brand The New Feminine and the Hypergamous Life. Social platforms. So she's putting out hypergamy as if it's a positive thing, right? So she's teaching women how to be hypergamous, which is super bad for men. Like, that's really bad because, you know, I've said it a million times in all my videos, hypergamy is not love, right? It's one of the core tenets that I talk about all the time, right? Hypergamy is not at all love, because hypergamy is basically opportunism, right? If you boil down what the term hypergamy means, it's essentially just not settling, being opportunistic, and then people want to slap a label of love on that. That's not what love is. Love is support when somebody's down and out. Love is, you know, not choosing somebody for their money. Like, this is so not love, right? Hypergamy is so not love. So she's teaching women how to find a better quality man, but she's not teaching women how to find love. So essentially this is a recipe for disaster. Again, the divorce rate is 50%, so it's like, whatever these people are doing, it ain't working, right? So she's got her little blog. I guess she wrote a book. She's on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Right. So that's about enough of her bullshit. So let's go back to the Zeta. Let me just back out here. Hold on a minute. Okay. The feminine school, the Zeta male. So like I said at the beginning of this vlog, we're going to do some learning today. So she's going to apparently teach us, and I'm going to do some commentary on her teachings. So she says, the feminine school, the Zeta male. So she's going to explain to us what a Zeta male is according to her terms. Of course, I haven't done cross-references or cross-studying on what the actual scientists say of what a Zeta male is in the social hierarchy. But again, it's all weird, and I would refer to Philion. If you guys know who Philion is, he's a YouTuber. He made a video talking about alpha males, and he made some great points in that, which is that, dude, we're all just human beings. Like, I could be alpha at one point in one situation, and I could be beta, in another point in another situation. And it's like, not only that, people misuse the terms with this bro science bullshit. So let's just see what she says, because this is a woman, this is a feminist, this is a book writer, she's a YouTube influencer, quote unquote. I don't know how many subscribers she has, but this is what she says. Okay, she says the Zeta male is a man that refers to the lower and often the lowest of social hierarchy of males. I've heard that being said for Gamma. I've also heard that being said for Omega males, right? So they're saying Zeta males are the lowest as well. She's saying this, right? It's almost like they're just grabbing terms out of the air and using it to fit their narrative, using it to sell their books. But we'll see what she goes on to say. In layman's terms, they are considered the runt of the litter. Zeta males are men who openly and consciously reject, object, or opt out of the traditional societal norms and expectations of men, like providing and protecting and becoming husbands. Now, I've heard this said about Gamma males as well. Gamma males are supposed to be outcast. They're not even part of the social hierarchy. They're the lone wolves, right? I've heard that said about Gammas as well as Sigmas. So are those men opting out? I think it kind of sounds like they are, right? But she's using it in the term of like, these guys aren't even able to provide for a woman, so they basically have no value according to her gold digging hypergamous life book or whatever, right? So they opt out of traditional social norms and expectations of men, like providing and protecting and becoming husbands. Okay, well, there's not a lot in it for us, right? If there's a 50% chance we'll get divorced, and if we get divorced, we have to pay her money just because she's a female, which is fundamentally sexist, right? I mean, why would we do that? That sounds like a really bad bet. That sounds like a really bad gamble, okay? She says the Zeta male's goal, mindset, and modus operandi is beat rejection with rejection. Maybe, I mean, that's a decent point. Like, that could be. In other words, a Zeta who feels like a reject is a man who will beat others to the punch first. Maybe. I think that could very well be, with some guys. Zeta male can be bi, gay, or straight, and they are usually a part of the dusty or the deadbeat mafia known as the Red Pill movement or MGTOW. So she's saying that Red Pill guys and MGTOW guys are basically deadbeats, essentially what she's saying. And she's tacking that Zeta male label onto red pill guys and MGTOW guys. So yeah, I mean, this is what women do. This is what women do when it comes to red pill and MGTOW. They say, you guys are incels, you guys are losers, because essentially they're afraid of us. They're afraid of the truths that we speak. They're afraid of, because we're not falling in line. So because we're not falling in line, and the line benefits them. This is why women like this hate us. This is why women like this call us deadbeats. We're like poison to them. We're kryptonite, right? Because the line, that society wants you to follow and step in line to, is benefiting women, right? Go to work, go to school, get a career, so you can get married. Well, what does that play into? It plays into hypergamy. Like, if you don't have a job, if you don't have a good career, a woman is not going to want you, and she's going to explain, that in her own viewpoint in a second. Right, but from our viewpoint, from red pill and MGTOW's viewpoint, we said, well, why is my only worth, what I can provide? Why is my only worth as a male, my resources? That really sounds pretty crappy. I got more to offer than my resources. Of course, she'll probably turn around and say, well, women have more to offer than just sex. But yet, look at how she's treating men. Men have nothing more to offer besides their ability to provide, right? And become husbands, providing and protecting and becoming husbands, right? In her mind, right? Now, I'm not saying that men shouldn't do that if they have a family, but if that's our only worth, if we have no value outside of that, then what are we? We're just utility. We're just a means to an end. We're just an ATM. We're a bank account. That's it, right? So they are men who have very rigid and inflexible mindsets. Well, it kind of sounds like you have a rigid and inflexible mindset, lady. Like, if you think that all men are, they're just supposed to be providers, and if they don't have value, they mean nothing. That's a pretty rigid and inflexible mindset. Their hypergamous life, right? Or whatever her name is, Allie or whatever she said. So she says they typically have some sort of mental instability, often in the form of narcissism or borderline personality disorder. That sounds like projection. Many women are narcissists, particularly gold-digging women like this, who hype up the term hypergamy, which is not a positive term when you really understand it. These are the type of women who are narcissistic and borderline. So that sounds like projection. I had another video where I was talking about how feminists, they really just project. A lot of what they do is project. They say men objectify them for their bodies. Women objectify us for our money, right? So that's just projection, right? I mean, I'm not saying there's no guys out there, in the red pill or MGTOW community who aren't mentally unstable. I'm not saying that, there aren't some hurt guys out there, and you might say these guys are depressed and mentally unstable, but it's not because, that's just what they are. Probably because they've got screwed over by some woman. Anyway, she says, make no mistake about it. These men are extremely low value, and they are insecure to the bone. We're insecure probably because we don't agree with you, right? That's why she calls us insecure. This is just, womanese. This is just how women roll. This is they change the goalposts. They're, hypocrites. They have double standards. When they want something, they cry and whine. But when we have an issue with something, then we're insecure all of a sudden. Like, you just gotta. I mean, this is the reason why we go MGTOW. This is the reason why we walk away from women, because of this bullshit. So anyway, she goes on to berate these Zeta males, and again, she's using a term, and this is kind of what the Nazis did, right? This is basic, military sort of, psychology. Like, in order to demonize, in order to justify going to war with the Jews, Hitler had to demonize them first, right? So this is what she's doing. She's demonizing these men, and she's using buzzwords like Zeta and putting us into a category so that we can hate something, and so that when a woman sees a quote-unquote low-value man, she's going to say, oh, that's just a Zeta male, right? This is just brainwashing, essentially. This is feminist propaganda. And here she goes. As a feminine woman, or a feminist woman, and a feminine woman in the making, your number one job is to raise your self-esteem and worth so that you can easily spot and avoid this low-value prototype at all costs. So she's not saying be a better woman. She's not saying be more moral, don't sleep around, learn how to treat men better. No, she's saying avoid loser men. This is essentially blame shifting, or not taking agency. Oh, it's the men's fault that they're low, that they're low value. It's not that we need to love them. It's not that we need to treat them better. It's their fault, and we should just avoid them. This is why if a guy's not good looking, a woman will just walk right past him on the street. He might as well not exist. In fact, she'd prefer that he didn't exist, because he wouldn't be out in her world, breathing her air, sharing the world with her. This is female solipsism, female narcissism. This is the ugly side of the female nature. So she says, a woman's attraction to a Zeta male can only be sustained when she is vibrating at the same level as a Zeta. A Zeta can only get his hooks into a woman who doesn't know her worth or her value. I mean, like attracts like, so if people are low value, they might be attracted to more low value people, sort of. But essentially she's trying to say, don't be low value. It's a weird psychology what she's saying here. She's saying that a woman is low value if she chooses a low value guy. So if a woman chooses or tends to, chase, or I should say date, whatever, higher value guys, then her value is going to be higher. So essentially she's saying a woman's value is contingent upon the man's value, which is a weird mindfuck. That's like women are living vicariously through the man's essence or his value. Which is kind of true, actually. That is kind of female behavior. So she's actually hitting on something here of her own nature. She probably doesn't even realize that women really just reflect the type of men they're around. So, and one might be able to make an argument in that sense that, oh, well, then women should be around high value people. But I would argue that, again, what does it have to do with love? And if you're only chasing, or you're only seeking out high value people, like, so you just, I mean, what is that? An argument for eugenics? Should people who have, less genes not even exist? Should people who have weaker genes not even exist? Should people who don't make a certain amount of money not even exist? I mean, it's very biased, and it's a very, very biased thing to say. And this type of woman who's a who's a feminist, she'll argue against bias. She'll argue against sexism, but yet she's being extremely biased and sexist here when she's saying don't mess with low value men, right? Which is something that is just sick. It's just like saying, well, don't have friends who are poor. Like, what kind of weird, I mean, like, that negates the definition of a friend. You should be a friend with somebody even if they are poor, and to only seek out high value males for a partner negates the idea of love. She says, by nature, Zeta men are predators. Oh my gosh. And women love that word predator. They love that because they love to paint men as predators. By nature, Zeta men are predators who will prey on women with woe is me and nobody understands or gets me narratives. Like, where do you get that? Where do you pull that out? Like, how do you know that's what Zetas are? So she's just attributing... she's just connotating attributes onto Zeta men that really just, so she's saying they're predators. I mean, this is what Hitler did. This is a 101 of how to demonize somebody. Call them predators, right? It's all part of a con game to lower a woman's defenses for the kill. Yeah, okay. But in the Zeta realm, Zeta men are men who are 1000% committed to their dysfunction. How do you know that? How do you know they're committed to their dysfunction? I don't think many people, I mean, some people do, but I don't think many people wake up and say, I want to be dysfunctional. I want to be miserable. I want to be a loser. Nobody says that. People want to be better. People want to do better. The problem is that not everybody can do better. People have limitations. People have setbacks, drawbacks, illnesses, environmental blockages that keep us from being successful. And women don't know much about this because women a lot of times get shit handed to them for free, such as affirmative action, such as free drinks at a bar, such as the man paying for the date, such as the man, working and getting the home and then marrying her and bringing her into his home and paying for everything. I mean, that is an easy ass life, and yet they still complain. In the Zeta realm, they're committed to their dysfunction and internal trauma without let up. Yeah, and how do they get that internal trauma? Probably from a woman. Like, I'd say 90% of guys that I've talked to in Red Pill and MGTOW communities are not loser guys who can't get women. They're guys who got screwed over by women. But they don't take any accountability or agency for that, do they? They just say, oh, well, you're a loser. You should have moved on. Should have done better. It's your fault. Like, this is sick, man. This is how women really feel about young men today. This is how women really this is how much they don't give a crap. This is how much they don't care. Not only do they not take accountability for how much they've hurt us, they demonize us and say it's our fault that we're hurt men, right? Zeta males are notorious for stalking women, being crybabies, whiners, and complainers, and they are internally motivated by their rejected spirit. Again, she's just throwing a whole bunch of different styles and types of men into one category so that, they can just demonize men, right? So first she called us predators, and she called us stalkers, and this is just the type of propaganda and rhetoric that hateful groups such as feminists use against men, right? And again, it's straight out of the Nazi playbook, man. That's how they turned all of Germany against the Jews. Was they demonized the Jew, and they propagated this concept that the Jews were this and that, and this is what these feminists are doing. It's straight out of the Nazi playbook. Sorry to say. A feminine tip: do not try to figure out why these men are the way they are. Zeta males are not meant to be fixed or put back together. As a truly feminine woman who understands her worth will understand that fixing a man is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job that comes with no benefits. Okay, so who's telling you that you need to fix these men? Are the men asking you to fix them? I highly doubt it. The problem is you're hypergamous in the beginning. The problem is women want to fix men because they want to make us better, because when we're better, they feel better. When we're better, they can live vicariously through our betterness and have a better lifestyle, right? What is that? That's a main part of the reason why men go MGTOW in the first place. Maybe we don't want to be fixed. Maybe we like our life the way we are. Oh, sorry we don't make 6 figures. Sorry we're not driving a Mercedes. Sorry we can't do everything to make you feel better. Sorry we can't do everything to make you happy. Like, no one says we have to be fixed, lady. You want to fix us because you're not happy with who we are, because you don't really love us for who we are, right? Or maybe your love is partial. You love us 70% and 30% of you wants to fix us. Or you love us 40% and 60% of you wants to fix us. Because you have hypergamy. This is female nature. This is what I talk about. This is what MGTOW men talk about. This is what red pill men talk about. Right? No, we don't want to be fixed. We just want someone to love us for who we are. That's the problem. Right? So this is a perfect case study of, female nature. This is a perfect case study of feminism. This is a perfect case study of how, women demonize us, throw us under the bus, and the sad irony is they're probably the ones who did it to us in the first place. The reason why guys go red pill and go MGTOW is because women hurt us, because women screw us over, because women are the way that they are, and we talk about it. So they call us losers for telling the truth, because they want to demonize the truth. Which is that, hey, why do you think they call them feminazis, right? You got some issues, you got real problems in your nature, and we talk about it, but you don't want to change. You don't want to treat us better. You don't want to love us for who we are. You just want that better lifestyle. You just want that better life. And unfortunately, we live in a world where women can get that, because men do feel obligated to provide for a woman. They do feel ambitious in order to get ahead. They do feel like they want better houses and more money and all these things that women want, right, to have a better life. Because if you study nature, what does a female want? She wants the best nest in order to have babies in, and that's female nature. It really is that simple. And so she wants babies, and so she wants the best nest for that babies. So what does she need to do? She needs to go out and get the guy who will provide her with that best nest provide her with those resources. And the irony is, this woman is talking about being feminine, and probably coming from, this is definitely feminist rhetoric. But yet she's also saying men need to be providers. She's also saying, so it's like she's picking and choosing that she wants certain things out of feminism. Like, she probably wants equality, she probably wants autonomy, right? She doesn't want to be ruled, but then yet she also wants to use men for their money. It's just like, it doesn't add up. So she's picking and choosing the things that she wants out of feminism, and she's picking and choosing things that she wants out of the patriarchy, right? So she's getting the best of both worlds, because what is the patriarchy, quote unquote? I'll argue up and down there really is no such thing as a patriarchy as defined by the feminists, right? There are men who run the world because we get shit done, but you can call that a patriarchy. But women cannot do the same thing these men can do. They cannot build the same type of world that these men can do. Yet they'll claim that this thing is evil. Yet they didn't build the world. They didn't create government. They didn't create legislation and laws and countries and build roads. Men did that, not women. Not to say women never did anything. I mean, sure, they contributed and they helped and they invented things and they worked and all. There's great things that women did, and they probably didn't sit around and complain about it either, right? So this woman here is picking and choosing things she wants from feminism, and she's picking and choosing things she wants from the patriarchy. What is the patriarchy? Again, it's men who are ruling, men who are providing, men who are advancing in an ambitious and successful way in order to take care of a wife, take care of a family. So she wants to use that, but she also wants to fall back on this new age feminism, which is that, oh, we're equal and we have autonomy, except when it comes to things that she wants, which is a man to pay for her lifestyle. This is essentially laziness. This woman is a lazy woman. So whatever book she wrote, who's ever reading this little blog or website she's got selling her book, these people aren't going to be enriched. These women are not going to have better characters. These women are not going to be more moral. These women are not going to learn how to be more successful and intelligent. They're simply going to learn how to be lazy and, leech off of men. Which again, if you listen to my channel, that's something that I talk about, right? What is marriage if a woman is not leeching off of the man's success? And women, traditional women will argue up and down and say, well, I raised the kids and I support my husband and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that's better than not. That's better than being a bad mother. That's better than, but again, like, that's not really equivalent to having all the stress and strain of working and having a career and having all the responsibility to pay for the bills. Really not quite the same thing. You mess up at home, like the kid falls out of the chair, you mess up and, I don't know, don't do the dishes for a couple days. Like, you're not going to get fired. Your husband might be a little mad at you, but you're not going to get fired. Like, you mess up at work, you mess up at a career, your whole life is over. You're done. Like you get fired, it might be hard for you to get another job. You might lose your house. You might lose everything. That kind of stress is on men, right? That kind of stress is on men, but that kind of stress is not on women. But yet they claim that they're somehow victims in that quote unquote patriarchy, right? Oh, you're such a victim because you gotta, change your kids' diapers every day, and what happens if you mess up? Like nothing. You just go on. But what happens if a guy messes up at work? He might get fired. He might lose his whole livelihood. Right? So it's not comparable at all. And that's not to say that the traditional family isn't okay per se. Like it helps further society. It helps. I mean, we need mothers. We need children. In order to have a functioning society at all. But again, the question that I have is, if the man didn't have those resources, if he wasn't able to provide, if he didn't, have a nice house, if he couldn't provide a home to live in, would he ever get chosen? Would he ever find quote unquote love? If not, then love isn't real, because, if you love somebody, you love them if they have nothing. You love them if they're a bum. You love them when they're messing up. And if you don't, then you don't, and you don't love that person, right? So, but at the same token, if you marry a man who's got his stuff together, you marry a winner. You marry, someone who, like she says here, someone who is going to provide, protect, and become a husband. If you marry someone like that, but if he doesn't have the ability to provide and protect, and you wouldn't marry him, then you really don't love him. right? And this is what so many women are looking for. Oh, I need this guy who's got his stuff together. I need this guy who's going to provide me a good lifestyle. I need I need a guy who's got got it figured out financially. He has resources. He can provide and protect for me. Like, that's fine, but don't call it love because those things do not, you know, they they don't tie into love, and that's what I say all the time. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's lesson. I feel sorry for any woman or any man who gets into a relationship with a woman who follows this woman, because this is just really selfish, narcissistic advice. This is really exclusive, really throws men under the bus, really kind of attacks certain men. Like, she just probably would be happy if those type of men were dead, if they didn't exist. She's talking about them like they're enemies, right? But yet, feminists will say, oh, we support men. Like, no, you don't. If these men are hurt, if these men are quote unquote losers, if these men are, down and out in society, you're not. It doesn't sound like you're supporting them. It doesn't sound like you want them to get better. It sounds like you just hate them. So, this is just the female ego on evil mode. This is just a female ego on aggression and attack mode. If you're not a provider, if you're not a high quality man, then you're a loser, and you're a Zeta male, and like this is just narcissism. This is just kind of really messed up. Like, guys go through things. We go through ups and downs. We go through hardships. So do we want to be called the loser of society? Do we want to be called a Zeta male? Do we want to be attributed to this lower rank? Like, yeah, I think if we go through a hard time and people call us losers, I think that we wouldn't want to be associated with any type of society. We wouldn't want to be associated with that type of society that really only places our self-worth as men in what we can provide in our resources, right? We're just fit for nothing but utility. We're a means to an end. So I think many men would want to opt out, and I think that's why many men do go MGTOW. I think that's why many men do walk away from the system. I think that's why many men are walking away from marriage and are walking away from women, right? Because of that. Right. So anyway, that's the lesson for today, guys. Appreciate you listening. It's been Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.